Hello, welcome back to the FlurrySports Podcast. And I mean, hey, NFL playoffs, NFL news is really rolling along. A lot of shit popping off. I gotta say, sad week for me on many levels. I was Jake Osmond's here. I'm Zach Bruner. The NFL coaching news hit me harder than it should have.
Wow,
it really
Big Pete
did.
Carroll fan.
And then the big snowstorm happened. And first snowstorm of the year. Am I allowed to complain? That's all I need to know because I have a lot of complaints.
100%. Well, Pete Osmond, shout out to the Play and Catch Up podcast. It returns in full next week, Zach, so people should get ready for that. But Pete Osmond this week, to everyone who was like, I wish it was snowy for Christmas. It was a week of, you happy now? You happy? Like, that? This is what we wanted. Yeah, 100%.
Yep, that's my mindset too. It's been a nightmare. But you know what? It also has been. It has been football weather. And there's been a lot of people, I'm not sure if you've seen it, a lot of people really on their high horses talking about how this is not football weather. Oh, are you saying snow and cold is football weather? What are you doing? This is dangerous for the fans. It's dangerous for the players. How dare you say this is football weather? And for those people, go fuck yourself. That's the stupidest, softest thing I've ever heard. You don't have to go. You're at home. Don't go.
That's so true. It is also like in a sport where there is no scientific proof that any of these players will not be killed by this sport. Like in a sport where it's like everyone playing it knows what is the cause of their death.
Yeah.
Like it's one thing. By the way,
there's heaters on the sideline. It's fine. I promise it's fine. The weather on the sidelines was 40 degrees warmer than anywhere else in the city of Kansas City. They were the safest there, to be honest.
I could feel Chris Collinsworth controlling himself because during the game at one point that he was calling, someone was like, well, I wonder if the players can like feel anything in their fingers. And like, he like almost said something and stopped him. Like, he wants to say none of them can feel anything in their fingers anyway. He's like, I haven't had nerve endings in 20 years. What are you talking about?
That's very true. And by the way, I got an unbiased opinion, I guess, technically, of Chris Collinsworth because Lindsay watched the game.
Oh, yeah.
With me. And she's like, that guy's annoying. So, I mean, welcome to the club. I'm glad that I'm not tainted, but I don't have any bias at this point.
Unanimous opinion.
All I said is, yes, everybody hates that man. No one likes him.
Listen, in broad football talk to start, coaching stuff. Yeah, what a time. Michigan takes care of business officially after last week's show where we were recording during it. Saban out in college is kind of like the big one for me because it feels random.
Super surprising.
Him and Belichick are doing something together, right? Like that timing just felt so scheduled.
They should create a super team. That would be so much fun.
It'd be so much fun. Go to who doesn't deserve it. Go to Carolina.
Or, I mean, I don't think this would work with Bill, but take over a college program, some bumfuck mid-major.
Oh,
that would be
God.
So fun.
It's like the NCAA football game. How fast can we get Western Michigan up the charts? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Like that would be incredible. That would be so much fun.
Go to the same conference Deion's in. That's all you need to do. That piss him off so much. Be like, God damn it. I had Colorado on lockdown. Go to Colorado State. Just let it eat. Yeah. See what we do.
Be great.
But that was wild. Let's start here. If we record this on Monday night, so we do not know what happens in the Pittsburgh Buffalo or the Buccaneers Eagles game, but those were not two of the games that people were most excited about. In a week of football, all bad football, like maybe one good-ish game.
Truly, I think two teams so far have played well.
Yeah. Would you say? Ooh, I'm curious who you say they're Texans.
Yep, I think
for
Texans
sure.
Are very good.
And Packers.
I think Kansas City. I think Packers did fine. It's not like they played terrible.
Yeah.
But like Packers ran a practice. That's all the Packers did. And they didn't play well, but they ran a practice. So many throws were just on air. The Cowboys didn't bother to show up, literally, like physically.
Well, it is, to your point, I don't know if you can say they didn't play. I get what you're saying. Like, I think they played well for 15 minutes and it was over. And
sure, but it's I think Aaron Jones played incredible.
Certain players played great. I'm with you. I get what you're saying. I think some people are going to be like, they were up 32 with 6 minutes left. They played good. But I mean, I get what you're saying. The Cowboys played so bad. I would argue then one good team, because I've got opinions on that Kansas City game. Here's my opinion. No one plays good when it's that cold. I know we're not complete, but like, cool. You won. Surprise, surprise. The team who ran it better that day won that game. What a crazy.
I just thought it was the most predictable game of all time. And
I mean, I'm with you. That's what I'm saying. I'm just like, a very injured Dolphins team that was also going to play worse in the cold weather didn't play well. I'm just not, like, it's like, I hate to like give no credit to the Chiefs, but I just was like, they played fine. I'm with you on that. Like, they played fine. The Texans looked really good. I think we've gotten one good team so far. And I don't know. I'm with you. I get what you're saying on the Packers. It's also like, when the Packers had 3 minutes of looking objectively terrible when they were trying to like rest guys for a bit, it's hard to like look at anything, because it's like, man, 3 minutes of just shitty football. But I think they played good.
It continues to be the same thing, though, where it's like Jordan Love's best throws are underthrown every time. Like, what are we doing? It's like literally, like, not just a little. It's like 10 yards wrong direction. It's fine, because the Cowboys see motion, and they didn't know what to do. They were out of line, and then they still run a zone blitz, which just led extreme, like, weighted defense on one side over the other. Big ass holes. I think LaFleur called a good game. Like, I think this is one of the better games, like strategies, like game plans he's ever had. But like, he's going to do the same thing next week. And which defense has seen more motion than any other? It's the Niners, because they had to face the Niners offense in practice every week. But I mean, as just the game, as not looking ahead to next week or anything, like, truthfully, blocking wise, Packers super inconsistent, defensive wise super inconsistent, but they made the plays that they needed to. I don't think they played that well, but the Cowboys just had egregious mistakes, and there was pretty bad officiating, like the first drives, just to keep the Packers drive going. If that didn't happen, I think it's a different game. Truthfully.
Yeah, I'm truly with you. I like get every piece of that, because the refs probably had their worst calls right away, and it truly just was like, oh, it's over. It's 27-0. We're done. Jair Alexander's on the field for like 10 minutes and like sealed the game, which I was like, attaboy. So I think you called it, which, like, I think it's fair to have that tone when everyone right now is like is riding the Packers pretty deep. So I think that's fair. I think the better, more optimistic way to spin it, and you're saying the exact same thing, I was impressed with the peaks of the Packers. I think there are a lot of pits, but I was more expecting those. Like, you highlighted the O-line, so I'm going to go there. I think inconsistent is the right word, but I was not surprised when we saw some of their worst moments. Like, oh, they can't control like an unprecedented rush. Like, they don't know how to pick a guy out. But there were moments of like, shit, like they can run block. Like, I was like, man, when they get moving and get to the second level.
For Aaron Jones.
100%. They've got certain schemes down. I was impressed by that. There are players that are really winning me over. Well, let me just, as long as we're in this game, let me say this. This was not the game for me to be like, man, the Packers were a little high on our own supply. Because I was texting people like, we're gonna get McCarthy fired twice. Like this was awesome. Like I was like, death, taxes, and the Cowboys suck, dude. I literally, it is hard to watch that game and not go, all right, whatever. I'm going full heel Packer fan right now. The Cowboys for the last 20 years have been a B player in our fucking movie, dude, and it's awesome. It's so good. How's it feel just coming up on replays of like, oh man, Des didn't catch that. Bummer, dude. Oh man, that sucks. Whoops. Who did we beat before we lost to the Giants? Oh, you. What a wild. Oh man, what are the odds? Who's your coach? Oh, Mike. No, that can't be right. It's so funny to me that it's just like every year, like the Cowboys are like, we're America's team. And I think we're like, yeah, sure you are. I mean, you go, little buddy. It's awesome, dude. And now we get the 50th moment in a row where Jerry Jones has to like be like, what do we do? I don't know, man. Rebuild, ground up.
What do they do though? Because I understand McCarthy probably deserves to be fired, but when you fire somebody, you also have to be like, okay, who's better than Mike McCarthy? And there's a couple options, but I don't know.
It is hard in a game where everything goes wrong to because that's what to like break it down. Yeah. Boy, did this great on paper Dallas defense lay a fucking egg. Like
that's the issue. If the defense kept them in the game, the offense would have figured it out and been fine.
Yeah, especially because, and I want to start with that point because it is not all Dak Prescott's fault, but no. I think it's been pretty clear for a while that you can do better than Dak Prescott.
He shouldn't be like the no-brainer franchise guy.
Especially because for years I was like, you've got bigger fish to fry. But now, honestly, like, I think they've got some questions at running back and with like health and stuff, obviously, but running back in the NFL is a fucking carousel anyway. So I don't know if that's their issue. Yeah. So for me, something you didn't know for forever. You've got good fucking receivers. Like I think this is the first. Solid. Yeah. The receivers are good enough and your defense and offensive line are still good. I think now
they need to rebuild the O-line a little bit. They need 100%. To replace Tyron Smith.
100%. I think they've got some moves there that could hopefully really, maybe not easily fill, but for me, if you're like looking for a fall guy, here's my only defense of Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy, we can't shit on him for what is his big flaw. He doesn't do anything. And for him to be the cause of all your woes is just not true. Like
the issue this year for him which makes him, to me at least, a no-brainer he's getting fired, is that he called for, and I forget his name every time because I hate him so much, I literally can't remember his name. The former offensive coordinator, who's the offensive coordinator for the Chargers now. Former Kellen Moore. You could go back. There should be a compilation of me on every stream, never ever knowing his name. Kellen Moore.
No, but it's a combination of that's so funny because you can't remember his name, and I always think he's the Vikings head coach.
Okay.
I think he looks just like that guy. I never remember that guy's name.
But Kevin O'Connell. But Kellen Moore, McCarthy got him out because he wanted to take over play calling. So now all the pressure's on him. So before, McCarthy literally did nothing. This time he at least called plays, did well all year, number one scoring offense in the league, but obviously shit the bed when it mattered. And again, I would say majority of the fault was on the defense, but even still, Cowboys didn't score enough points and you're going to win the game no matter what. And now he's going to get fired because he took all of the blame. He took all the responsibility from that point. Now he's going to get fired. But now who do you bring in? Like, you bring in either Jim Harbaugh, you bring in, maybe Pete would go down there. I don't know. Pete Osmond or Carroll, to be honest.
Pete Osmond would not go down there, but that Pete Carroll might.
If I'm Jerry Jones. If I'm Jerry Jones, I look at that game and say defense lost the game. Offense stacked. We're going to score points no matter who's calling plays. That's what I learned from this year. So I'm bringing in a defensive guy. And if I was him, I would bring in Vrabel. That's who I would bring in. That's the program changer. That's the guy who, but Vrabel has to get along with you because he's the GM and owner. And that's why I don't think the Belichick thing that everyone's rumoring works. He has respect for Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones, I think is his name. But like Belichick needs to have personnel control, and I can't imagine Jerry's going to give him that.
And that was like part of the scuttlebutt on Vrabel was like about the control he wanted and stuff. So I it's not the sexy answer. I think if McCarthy's out, and I'm with you on like, I think the should question is different than the will. I think he's canned. I think it's Quinn. I don't think
Quinn's going to. No, he lost this game. There's no way.
But he's delusional, dude. Jerry Jones needs a guy he can work with.
Okay, so I think they should get a defensive guy. I think it should be Vrabel. What I think Jerry will do, and again, he probably has to bring in an established guy. No, I think he brings in Kellen Moore.
Oh, he does love him. That fits what I was going for, which is I'm with you on the blame game. It's just that Jerry takes guys like McCarthy was a surprise. Like usually he has to take from in the well because he's hard to work with. Because Quinn's
going to Seattle.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's the heavy rumor. I'm with you. I maybe Harbaugh because it's a sexy thing. I think that could be good. We've said this before, but I'll say it out loud in case it's been a while since we said it on the show. I mean, the problem is Jerry Jones. I don't like if you look at the stats of the Cowboys, like they shared that they haven't made a conference championship game since '95. What an odd year! It's almost like the year he took full executive control. Like he is the problem. I was thinking about this since everyone always you watch a Packer game. What do you hear? How do they pick these three quarterbacks in a row? Oh my God.
Yeah.
Since the 90s, I think you can make an argument that the easy number 3 there, because it's hard to argue against like basically that whole time for New England was Tom Brady, like one guy. But for people who had multiple dudes in that same time period, Cowboys are up there. Like for all the shit they get, like you have some Aikman, then you get Bledsoe, and I'm missing some guys, but I mean the heavy hitters for long periods of time are Aikman, Bledsoe, Romo, Prescott.
Yeah.
Like we've had like 4 like 6-year contracts in a row. You know, like
correct. Yeah. Well, that's kind of why I think I agree Jerry's the problem. I think Jerry's extremely good at drafting. I think Jerry's extremely good at contracts. He just still has too much of an imprint on the day-to-day that he shouldn't have. He has on the coaching staff, like philosophies that the coaching staff needs to have. That shouldn't happen. On players who should be playing, he shouldn't have that. And that goes across a lot of teams. Like I think the coaches need to decide who plays. And I think people would be surprised to know that most teams, that's not really the case. It's a lot of times the general manager and the people in the front office / owner.
Yeah, that's interesting coming from from my perspective as like a big baseball fan where it's like we've all accepted that the managers really just game manage. Like that's what they do. And I remember that came out that was what McCarthy was doing last year and everyone's like, loser. Like what do you do? Just calling timeouts, dude. And it's like, yeah, well he was an extreme version of it, but it's like that, especially on teams with established quarterbacks, like for years it was like, what's LaFleur doing? And it's like, I don't know. Like he can't do a ton. So I don't know. I think with the Cowboys, 100%, like Jerry Jones that's why the Cowboys are tricky. This team has been pretty good for 20 years and just not good enough. I think it is wild, the string of like, they don't just like lose in the playoffs, they blow up.
Yes.
So something's there. with that, obviously, I don't know. They've got to look at like expectation management. And maybe that's Jerry. Like he's got to stop showing up to meetings and being like, break the curse. I don't know.
The very first thing he needs to do, he needs to stop having scheduled meetings with the media before, after games, weekly radio shows.
Yes.
He needs to not do that.
I thought for sure he's got to stop having kids. And I was like, 100%, dude.
Take ownership of the ones you have.
Ever since the secret one came out, I was like, you're right, man. As soon as it's a surprise, we've gone too far.
Mm-hmm. Bingo. But yeah, a lot of issues there. If okay, you're saying it's not if, it's when. So when McCarthy gets fired, do you think he gets another head coaching job this upcoming year, or do you think he has another sabbatical where he brings the boys to his basement, they watch film or whatever?
I think once again he's kind of screwed by timing. Like a lot of the teams that just dropped established guys have already announced replacements. I think he takes another year just because he's gonna be the big target when he comes up. But I just think at the time he goes out, I don't know if he wants to go to like does he want to be the guy in Carolina or Washington or what? Yeah. I don't know. Like people will want him. I'll answer that. I think people will want him. I think also people should want him. He is in a coach with a really good record. I think honestly, I don't know if he'd want it. I'd love to see him on a team we've only seen him on teams with Super Bowl expectations. Maybe it would do a lot of good for him if he went to Atlanta or Washington and it was make them good. And
Washington deserves absolutely nothing.
I mean,
the fact that they came out right away and we're not interested in Bill Belichick. We should all be like, okay, then sell the team again. If you're not interested in Bill Belichick, why are you here?
I know. That's crazy. Should we, that is a little bit related to the game I want to play. Should we take a detour there now that we got Packers talk out and we get back to these other games in a second?
Let's do it. Let's play the game that we teased last week.
Yeah.
We got it for this week.
So this is a throwback to segment we have played in years past. This is called Gauge the Age.
Ooh, okay.
And I've tweaked it slightly because, Zach, I'm going to throw opinions at you that were for sure wrong at one point.
Yeah.
And you've got to tell me
something about Ben Roethlisberger, his wiggle or something at some point, his ability to run.
100%. And you got to tell me, are those still wrong? Okay.
Okay.
So gauge the age of this take, Zach. Is it still wrong or is it true?
Okay.
Because these came out, we were all like, that's incorrect. But now, who knows? Gauge the age, Zach. Bill Belichick was only successful because of Tom Brady.
I mean, that's wrong then, still wrong.
You sure? I don't know, man. He's out now. He can't coach. Dude, I don't know. He was
good before Tom Brady. We knew it before Tom Brady came in the league.
They can't both be good. That's preposterous.
That is true. I've never seen a good head coach and quarterback in the same room, much less the same team. I mean, that's a great point.
I can't stand that specific article here, by the way, because there are so many. I saw one that after the Bucks won the Super Bowl that was I should have wrote that one down because I think it was imposter revealed. It was a really harsh article. It's okay.
And by the way, Washington, what you should be trying to do this year, you should be trying to get Bill Belichick and you should be trying to get Tom Brady to come out of retirement. Because both things I think are very much possible. There's no other team that makes more sense to bring in Bill Belichick than Washington. You can call him the commander-in-chief. You can do all of this stuff. He's the whole armed forces thing that's in his blood. You get Tom Brady in the nation's capital, parlay that into a presidential run, do whatever you got to do. All of that makes so much sense. And they're like, I'd like to interview maybe the Lions offensive coordinator. That could be good. You know, shit like that. Sorry, continue. What's the
No,
next
that's
one?
good, dude. That's the game. That's the game.
Okay.
That's a
So
spicy one.
stupid.
I know.
Everyone sucks except for Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. They're both good.
They're both good. That's true. This one, Jim Harbaugh is not a good enough coach to coach in the National Football League.
Oh, that's wrong. I think if he returns next year, he would have the best active head coaching record in the NFL. And I think he's one of the best by percentage of all time. So that's wrong.
Here's why I wanted to bring it up. Because here's the other take. This is the most extreme version. Okay. Jim Harbaugh is not a good enough coach to coach in the Big Ten. Because there's all these articles that are like, I'm not leaving. And everyone's like, you need to leave. Like,
I agree with that more than I agree with the NFL one, by the way.
Well, okay, and let's get to the pure form of the argument. He just won a national title.
Yeah.
So,
multiple national championship game berths.
So what take, this is the better way to do that one in particular. What take is more correct at this point? Jim Harbaugh is one of the best football coaches, period, active right now, or he's the most overrated coach in the country. Because I think both takes were believed at one point.
Yeah. Which one's more correct?
Right now.
I think he's one of the best head coaches. I think he's one of the best coaches.
Okay. I know I'm a little on the overrated side. My only thought with that is what we know to be true is the best football team in college did not participate in the playoff. And
for sure. Yes.
And Florida State was hurt, so they didn't have to play them, and they only had to play Ohio State once. So
Michigan was very good, though.
Michigan was very good and very stacked. And some of that is because of him. A lot of it is because of him. I will give him credit. He doesn't get enough credit for how well he adapted to the new culture of like recruitment in college football.
He also faced a lot of adversity this season.
No one cares about his players more, man. No one's hungry on his team. You want a burger?
People, I can't believe people were doubting them. I can't believe people really just thought, I mean, there was people, Jake, that said that they didn't belong in the playoffs. Not because of how good their team is, but that's irrelevant.
Yeah.
A lot of doubters.
Lot of doubters. I might be one of them. I don't know.
Some people say there should be an asterisk next to our championship game. That's how much adversity we faced. Like,
that
okay.
Is true. By the way, we called it out last week. This has been a crazy week for everyone's doubted us. It's been a huge press week for man, no one believed in us. God.
Bad week for the doubters.
Terrible week for the doubters. I know. This one, Zach, I think this was the one that made me think of the game. This is really going to get at you. Coming off of the Lions-Rams game, this take, I promise you, was wrong at one point. And I ask you now, is it wrong? Jared Goff is a better quarterback than Matthew Stafford.
So wrong.
What do you mean? Scoreboard.
Yeah, true. Boy, Stafford, what a gutty performance by Stafford.
Dude,
I'll say that.
Oh my God. All the articles and news coverage today, it's like, wow, is this the worst trade of all time? Like, man, the Lions. And it's like, no. The Rams won one. They said, fuck them picks. It was a 1-year, 7-year deal. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. But no, they won. They've
already won.
I know. But okay. So obviously still wrong.
Yeah.
Was Jared Goff, is he good enough that the deal was lopsided? I think that is a more interesting argument of like, because the Lions not only got other, money and picks, they also got a quarterback. Like, is Jared Goff good enough to make that gap lopsided in that deal?
I think both teams won. Like the trade, they both came out better because of it. But the whole thing is, you got to hit on your draft picks, and most teams don't do that because most draft picks don't pan out, and Detroit has. So because they hit on the draft picks, it's like, oh shit, they made a good trade. But if they made draft picks like they had for the previous 5 decades, then it's like, ooh, bad trade. Like that did not work out. But because they made good picks and they made another good trade in there as well, I believe, to get more picks and stuff. I mean, they came out as winners, and Jared Goff is good enough, much like I said about Jordan Love. Jared Goff is good enough to win with. You're not going to win because of him, but to say that the Lions don't have a Super Bowl chance this year, I think they do. Is it likely? No, but they have a chance.
They do literally have one. No, I like it for sure. I think, it's obviously what you do with the deal. I don't think there's any question that I view Goff a lot higher now than I did even playing at his peak in Los Angeles. Like, I thought he was a system quarterback then, and now I don't know.
Now he's not.
I was just going to say we're going to disagree on this, but I don't know why. I don't look at the Lions and go, that's a good system. They're running on 5s, and the 5s are immaculate.
That's true. That part's true.
I have said, maybe this is the hill I die on, and that is okay. I have for years said the chink in Dan Campbell's armor is he's gone, Jared Goff's my guy. Yeah. And I still think that could be the case. Like, I think, I don't know if I'd say system quarterback as much as I love the talent on the Lions roster. And I think Goff benefits from it. But I don't know if I'm like, that scheme really allows him to thrive. But, I don't know. That might just be, I'm looking more and more incorrect on that by the day. Like, I think you could be right that he's good enough to win with. I don't know.
He is. I mean, he brought a team to a Super Bowl. They got destroyed, but like, if you get to a Super Bowl, you're good enough to win with. There's no doubt about that.
That's true. But is he closer to Trent Dilfer than he is to,
Yeah. He's Rex Grossman. Else. Congratulations.
100%. You're right. I just think both of those guys had pretty thin margins of success, and I think it might be the same.
By the way, he's better than Rex Grossman. Not a bold take.
I put him and Dilfer in a phone booth, though. That's a knockdown drag out. Let's see what that looks like. His arm's stronger. That's all I know about him. His arm's for sure stronger.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Dilfer, probably a better commentator. I don't know. But and I've got one last one here for you.
Okay.
Gauge the age, Zach.
Mm-hmm.
Steph Curry is too small to play in the NBA. It was wrong for 10 years, but I think it might be right now.
It's caught up to him. That's right. That's right. We knew it. It just took a little bit of time to show itself. What a stupid thing. The NBA especially. Like, you could say, I mean, they called Bryce Young the Steph Curry of the NFL. And so far, he's looking too small, I suppose. Like, in a sport where there's contact and you can get hurt.
Yeah.
Fine. In a sport where the whole thing is you can't really have contact. Like, I think he's fine.
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
Yeah.
The more articulate way to put that, Zach, to actually make you pick a side on it is Steph Curry is not good enough to carry a team on his own. That at one point was definitely incorrect. Is it no longer the case? The Warriors are having a pretty gross year, I guess, and fingers everywhere. But my question to you is do they need to, like, is the dream over?
I mean, they have to make moves for sure. He for sure cannot lead a team by himself. It's pretty obvious bringing in Chris Paul was a horrendous move. Like, that's already been known. He's and cursed. Klay Thompson looks old. Klay Thompson doesn't look right. Chris Paul is cursed. Usually this is his Super Bowl, though. Like, we're in January. It's Chris Paul time. He's hurt, obviously. But, like, honestly, this isn't even a joke. Okay, I mean, Kuminga's really good. But, like, okay, I'll phrase it different. I was going to say Draymond Green's their second best player. That's not true. I think Draymond Green is their second most important player.
Yeah, I would agree.
And is that a championship winning formula? I don't know. Probably not.
I also think, you can only teams fall into this sometimes. They're one of them. You made a formula so good for success, everyone's copied it, and you haven't adjusted yet. Like, that's hard to do, but it's like, I think sometimes teams find that where it's like, oh, you like broke it wide open. The most obvious and clear example of that for me is like the movie Moneyball, where it's like, man, those plucky A's, they looked at the numbers and they made that budget work. That lasted 1 year. And then all the teams with the money went smart. And then they did it, but with a bigger budget. Like, it's like, and the Warriors stretch that out. But now it's like, well, that's what the Nuggets are doing, but way better right now.
Well,
or it's like,
if we want to take a trip back even further, it's like the Celtics started playing small ball. They brought in the veterans, KG and stuff like that. And then they were just too old to keep doing it. And then the Warriors perfected it. And then the Warriors had their run. And now everyone is basically doing it. Everyone has either a duo or a trio of superstars and then the supporting cast. And unfortunately, the Warriors supporting cast is like Dario Saric.
Don't you disparage Dario, dude.
Other players like that, Gary Payton the second or third, one of the two.
Wish they had Gary Payton.
Yeah, I mean, hey, he would help the team in a very similar way to Draymond. He would help the team that way.
Yeah.
Every team needs someone to slap the floor, and Draymond Green will slap everything. That's kind of the curse and the blessing with him. He's back, though.
Oh, I know. He is back. The NBA's better with him here.
100%. And I hope he is super sweet, obnoxiously nice for the rest of the regular season. Warriors make a run. They get in the play-in game, which isn't an accomplishment. And then we get Draymond back. And he just starts knocking people out.
Well, here's a teaser. At the end of the show, Zach and I are going to give you top threes of things that we don't want people to forget from 2023. Draymond's on my list.
Good. Draymond should be on a lot of lists, and I'm glad he's on that one at least.
I think he's on a lot of watch lists.
For sure.
I know. Well, that was Gauge the Age, Zach. Focused mainly on the coaches, but, this is a tough week for legacies. Like, I just think, I don't know. It's just hard to me to think back on, like, there were years where I think Jim Harbaugh was the biggest punching bag in football. And now
he got so much shit.
And none of it really fair. Like, I also think, to be very fair, the Michigan team, when he took it over, was a lot further away from consistent competitiveness than he got credit. So, like, that was good. I said after the show went off air last time, that's like, the Kaepernick thing was racist when it cost Harbaugh a job. Like, it's like, it's just a weird legacy. I don't know. But, Zach, I think
we need to talk about one little thing that happened off air last week. Do we remember, folks at home, who took over for Jim Harbaugh at head coach?
Oh, that did happen off there. Oh, this is a great one. Hey, everybody, think about that. Who did it?
Yeah. But, was it Mike Singletary? No, he was before Harbaugh. Like, what? Who took over for Jim Harbaugh? Because like I said earlier, when you fire a coach, you have a plan to bring in someone who is better. And Jim Harbaugh got fired because he wanted more control than he could have gotten. So the general manager needed to put his big boy pants on and fire him because we're not playing Kaepernick, that motherfucker. So we need to bring in someone who's tough, hard-nosed, and is going to be the guy for Niners faithful. And they promoted Jim Tom Sula. That was their...
You gotta look up some Jim Tom Sula press conferences. They're crazy.
Love Jim Tom Sula. That's who they promoted him. That was their succession plan. And then when that didn't go right, I believe it was immediately Chip Kelly.
Kelly.
A year.
Oh my
Insane.
God. Chip Kelly. Okay. here we go. Ready? I'm going to put you on the spot. I will go first, to be fair. Top 5 coaches who had such a bad run, it's entertaining.
Did Chip Kelly have a bad run?
Okay, let me word it away. Had a very entertaining, not good run.
Okay.
Like, all in all, not good. Chip's on my list. Another easy one is we're off to the races because I'm not going to get his name right, but I'm just going to give it to you. The guy who was in the Bengals for 20 fucking years.
Oh, Marvin Lewis.
What did he do? Like, that was crazy. He was there for too long. Number 3, mentioned him earlier, Wade Phillips. What are we doing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Weird run all the way around. Number 2, Cliff Kingsbury. Not enough love on the reign of Cliff Kingsbury.
His whole story, just taking the USC job for a day. They're like, nope, promotion. I deserve it.
Yeah. I forgot he did that. That was weird.
Yeah.
That was really weird. Okay. I'm going to give an honorable mention because it's too obvious. So I'm not going to go this route. Okay. This whole top 5, this is the Jeff Fisher top 5. This whole list is just, can't even remember Jeff Fisher's name. Why did he get to coach for 20 years?
He's a football guy. You need to have a football guy around.
He is a football guy. And if Dixon's arm was 2 inches longer, he'd have a Super Bowl ring, but it's a little insane.
We would be talking about him so differently if he just got that Super Bowl. I think.
I mean, and McNair's career goes down the tube. Everyone would have taken Vince Young. It's a weird career.
Yeah.
He had Sam Bradford, and that went weird. And then Foles. Yeah. Think of the people I don't know. Maybe the gods just hated it, but he's not number 1, Zach. Number 1, you can't tell me he had a good run, but boy, did he ever run. That's right. Coach of the year, Chuck Pagano.
Yeah.
Chuck Pagano was more beloved in a year where he couldn't coach than I've ever seen any coach be beloved. His stock raised so much during the year he had cancer. And I'm so happy he recovered and is good.
Yeah.
Do you think he sends a check every year to Bruce Arians? Because I really think he should send a check every year to Bruce Arians.
He should. And we just saw another example of that play out. Ron Rivera's on the list.
For sure. Rivera's on the list. I just Pagano is such a freaking all of his cliches and also just if Andrew Luck is a tough son of a bitch, he's going to be. Get him an old lineman, Chuck. What are we doing?
Well, it's not Chuck's fault. He's not drafting him.
I don't know. I think he's take your lumps, dude. You'll be better off for it. Ron Rivera is a great pull. He can't be on the list. He's too good, but Mike Shanahan's awfully close.
At the end, yeah. John Fox, I think, is on there. John Fox and Lovie Smith as well.
Lovie Smith, this guy is not good enough to be on the list. He's a little too just straight up bad. But Mike Singletary.
Yeah. It was the whole time. It's this isn't right, but we can't fire him out of respect. He's a legend of the game.
What? Yeah, Patrick Willis and Frank Gore will never forgive us. Yeah, that was a weird one.
Brandon Staley, that was a disaster.
And his predecessor, I'd put Norv Turner pretty damn close to the list. It's a little more fun when they travel around a couple teams. I know that's not true with Pagano, but
Frank Reich, bad.
I thought of Frank Reich. He's a little fresh for me, but I think you're right. You know who should be up there? Talk about a guy nobody ever talks about. Okay. I'm gonna forget his name too, but you're gonna get it for me. Sherman. It came to me. Sherman.
Oh, Mike Sherman.
Yeah, 100%. No, look up that guy.
He ended up going to Canada and then I think Texas A&M.
Yeah,
something like that. Yeah,
give him a Google.
Packer fans know him well, but not great.
No, it's like people forget. That'd be a great trivia question. Like name Packers coaches because no one remembers there's someone between Holmgren and McCarthy.
Yeah, there's been some interesting names.
Yeah.
If people naming Packers coaches would just be like, I mean, that Holmgren coaching tree. Do you remember that? We got Andy Reid. We got John Gruden. We got all these big names. We got
technically Jay Gruden, Kevin
Mariucci, Steve Mariucci.
Yeah. The coach. Yeah. Kevin Green is out of that tree.
Oh, hell yeah, he is.
If you want to go back enough, this is a segment now. I should reel Dad in. You want to know the craziest head coach of all time? People forget Forrest Gregg was a coach.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
He's got some of the best quotes you'll ever hear if you are willing to like look up. I read like a Forrest Gregg book, and it's like he played in the Ice Bowl, and then the second coldest game of all time when the Bengals played the Chargers, and to get his team pumped, he came in with a bucket of ice and was like, "This isn't cold ice," and he like dumped it on himself. It's crazy, dude. You got to look him up. It's awesome. He was like not wearing a coat to prove he was tougher than everybody. Yeah, it's awesome. People gotta no one talks about Forrest Gregg enough, but
that's true. That's true. Remember when Bud Grant did that at that Vikings playoff game? It was just way too cold. He went out there in a t-shirt, could barely walk if it was 80 degrees, but he's out there somehow. Tough guy. Tough son of a bitch.
Tough son of a bitch. That's what they said about Bud Grant. Tough son of a bitch.
That's all they said. Yep.
Yeah, I know. Well, this was your walk down memory lane, but I mean, what a time it's been for coaches. But yeah, Jim Harbaugh and Jim Tomsula. Dude, what a name.
Man.
But
Great
here
name.
we are. He's going somewhere. And Zach, one of the places that he could be going. That's right. Cleveland. I'm starting a rumor. I don't know why. I think he's out, dude. No, I don't know. I just wanted to tie in to one of our other games, and I realized that neither losing team was going to fire their coach. I took a shot. I was wrong.
No, yeah. Stefanski was great. What does Joe Flacco do though? Because obviously didn't play well.
He's screwed. Yeah. One game cost him a surefire another starting job, which is a bummer. He'll get the exact same opportunity, right? A veteran backup on a team that needs one.
Yeah, I think he's earned himself the backup spot though, at least, which he didn't have, obviously.
Yes. I also think someone will pay him so they can trade him to the team with an injury. Sure. He'll be the first call next year when someone big goes down. They'll be like, he's Josh McCown. We all need a Josh McCown.
He's Josh McCown with a ring. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. He's Nick Foles. Understood.
Yes,
yeah.
Wow.
That is my most, by the way.
What if this is the scenario I want? Yeah. So the Bears had the first overall pick. They have like the third or fourth or something. Yeah. Maybe it's lower. I don't know. But it's like, okay, half the fan base is like, okay, we've seen enough. Justin Fields gone. We're going to draft the number one quarterback. We're going to be good to go. What if the Bears don't trade, but they get their quarterback by signing Joe Flacco? And with the combination of Fields and Flacco, they're like, hey, big quarterback acquisition. I mean, this guy's got a rig. He's going to teach Fields how to play. Like, I think that could happen legitimately.
I like it. I like him on that kind of team. By the way, we've said this for years. Give me more. Ever since we had Kyle Orton and Tim Tebow, I want more quarterback combos. That's what New Orleans did.
Fitzpatrick and Tua for a little bit.
A little bit. They should have kept that going. You know, Fitzpatrick would have thrived in that temperature.
Yeah.
100%. Ever since I saw him in the crowd at the Bills game, he's immune, dude. So I think it's not a bad idea. Will they do it? No. I think
Flacco turned down offers this past offseason because he wanted to be on a contender. Like he wanted a starting job on like a good team, which is awesome, or a chance to compete for a starting job on a good team. But at that point,
means he'd take any job in the NFC South.
Maybe.
Like, what's a contending job there? Because if that's the case, I hate to say this. I mean, Rutrow Baker. Like, I don't, like
him, Derek Carr should be afraid.
Yeah.
I mean, Falcons would have been in the playoffs with Flacco.
For sure. Those are all good. Yeah. What does he consider contender? Would he be like, listen, go to the Giants? They're like paying nobody.
I mean, Jets. He would have got the Jets to the playoffs.
Yeah, he would have for sure. I have a lot of sympathy for the Jets this season just because they kind of PR'd themselves into a corner. But next season, I'm so curious what they're going to do. They can't. It's just like they came out. They were like, Zach Wilson is the next guy. Fuck. Yeah. Like they were like, oh, dang it.
4 plays into the season. Like, what are we doing?
They should have been like, it would have made no sense. They should have been like, he needs a year. Like, it's time he needs.
That's what they said. And
they should have came out and been like, no, it literally doesn't matter who it is. He needs time. RG3, get out of the booth.
Now the report is Jets want to trade Zach Wilson. Nobody wants Zach Wilson. Like, okay, well,
for sure.
Gets rid of all leverage too. That's great.
I know. Congrats. You have another Sam Darnold. I don't know how you did it, but I think all those teams would be good. I think, or do you just send him to a place that has injury issues? Let me throw an interesting one to you for the price that he's going to get. That you could get Flacco for. Vikings.
Vikings are super interesting. I just think, you don't know what you got till it's gone. And I feel like they realized Kirk Cousins might be a little bit more valuable than what he was. So I think they re-signed him for what is too much money, probably for Kirk Cousins. But I mean, what the Vikings should do is they should use this terrible season to draft a good quarterback. I don't know if they're going to do it.
I think they should draft a good quarterback and play Flacco for a year.
That's fine. Yeah, I don't mind that.
No. Or Minshew. Like, just get someone to throw the ball down the field. And if you're fine next year, you're fine next year. Like, I think, you're going up against...
Trade for Trey Lance, too. I mean, he's a Minnesota guy. Like that.
Absolutely. Because you're either rebuilding or you're not. So if you're not rebuilding, I don't know if Cousins is the fix, to your current talent level. And if you are rebuilding, well, you're behind the timetable of the Packers and the Bears anyway. So you might as well reset.
Yeah, they have to blow it up and build it around Justin Jefferson, I guess, because you can't get rid of him. And he's, needs a contract.
No, sure. You should build around him. I like some of their defensive talents that you could build around if you can pick a couple guys and keep them. So, I know. To kind of take us back to the what game was I even trying to fucking talk about? Take us back to the Browns game. Joe Flacco, that game. It sucks that it was like him that cost him, but some bad tosses.
It was him, but it was just the fact that the Browns ended up being on their like 6th and 7th offensive tackles for the year.
Absolutely. Here's the takeaway. Boy, do I think the Texans are scary. They're playing really good right now. I think they're good. I think they are playing a little over their heads, but I mean, they're good.
They're the Packers with a couple of veterans.
Absolutely. And a better pass rush, much better pass rush. So,
a better coach and a better quarterback. But, I mean, like they have to go into Baltimore, who is like the scariest team, but we've seen Baltimore fuck it up like time and time again. Too.
Okay. You know what? Let's go viral. I'm going to say something here that people will not agree with, but I'm going to say it here. You know what the Packers got over the Texans?
What?
Our quarterback's cooler. There's no, I'm gonna get killed on this.
Jordan Love is a fucking loser, dude.
No. Jordan Love's stopping to help ladies out of snowdrifts. He's a gentleman.
That's a plant. That wasn't real. Continue.
That's real. I feel it in my bones. He's a nice guy. He's after the game being like, no one believed in us. We're good start to finish. It's not me. It's a team effort. CJ Stroud is a little weird out, dude. I think everyone
weird.
This is my point. I'm not up here gassing Jordan Love. Everyone this week was like, give me CJ Stroud, man. He's a killer. His quotes are not killer quotes. They're like serial killer quotes. Like he's out here being like, oh, it was fun. They were booing me. Like not in like a cool Tom Brady way. Like I'm better than you. Like he was just like, ooh, fun. Like he's a weirdo, dude. I'm a little out on CJ Stroud. Like every time he talks, he's like, yeah, he's a killer. And I'm like, I don't know. I want to know who he's friends with in elementary school. I think he's a little, psycho.
I get your point, but Jordan Love said to his girlfriend, instead of saying like I'm ticklish, which is already a weird thing to come out, he called it he gets silly body instead of saying it tickles. And that's a quarterback in the NFL. That's a leader of a team.
That's fun.
No, it's not.
I kind of like that.
Fun. No.
Silly body.
No.
That's crazy.
It's weird. I don't like it. I hate him forever because of that one thing.
No, that's fun.
Things, but
put that on someone else. You just aren't. I think you need to get around the idea that he's zany. And then you'll like him. Because let me do that for you. Let me do this thought experiment. Imagine imagine Jared Allen from back in the day came out being like, dude, I got silly body. We love it. Like that's a very Jared Allen, like you're a psycho. Or like came out and who's that crazy guy who played for the Vikings all those years in the 90s? He would have silly body. Number 93, he was small, he was a defensive end.
Randall?
Randall had silly body. He didn't believe in being tickled.
No one would have said that.
Andrew Luck has silly body.
Andrew Luck would have said that. He's not cool. Andrew Luck's cool. Not cool.
He's a different kind of cool. I don't know. He's not cool. Thank you for making me think of Andrew Luck. CJ Stroud is Andrew Luck trying to be a bad guy. CJ Stroud is like, I
can see that, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Like, he's like, I like being a heel. And we're like, what? Like, last week you were like, I love him. I'm all in. I watched that and I was like, that'd be like if I came out and I'm like, I'm a heel. No, it's like, what? What are you talking about? Yeah.
You're right.
I don't know. I just think the CJ Stroud talk is getting a little wild. But he's really good. And this team is scary. There's not much here to unload. I feel like listen, we were really getting to the storylines, but the Browns were really overperforming, and I think this is a well-constructed Texans team who's hot right now.
And the Texans found a way to just stay on the field with long drives. Or no, rather, they were able to score extremely quickly, and the Browns had really long drives. So, I mean, the best player in the entire game is Myles Garrett, and he just was never on the field.
Correct. So, I'll be interested what comes out there. But to me, the big question is, we're waiting to see matchups. It looks like Bills are going to win. As we currently record this, they're up 24.
Steelers are coming back, though, in the most predictable Bills collapse way of all time. True. Bills will win, but Steelers are coming back.
So I won't even predict how that goes then. It could go either way yet as we talk. So I'll be interested, but to the question, because we kind of talked about how the weather impacted the Dolphins-Chiefs game, but do you think the Texans have showed that they could beat either the Chiefs or the Ravens?
Well, they will go. Steelers aren't going to win this. So Texans go to Baltimore. I think they can beat the Ravens. I just think the Texans defense isn't good enough. I think that's the issue. But
I'd love to see them against the Chiefs. I think that game would be awesome. I think that's an interesting test of momentum. But I don't think that's what we're going to get. I think you're correct. So
Chiefs go to Buffalo. So Chiefs have always destroyed Buffalo in the playoffs, right? Not destroyed, but they beat them every time. But it's always in Kansas City. So do you think the missing element is that it's going to be in Buffalo? Because I feel like it's going to be the same fate.
That'd be an interesting story to tell about like Buffalo. Like if that storyline is going to happen, I feel like it happens in Buffalo. So that could be good. But I feel like if that were to happen, they'd kick the Steelers' ass tonight, which I don't feel like's going on. But
I feel like this is already shaped. This is the story that's being told to me. So Bills Steelers get moved, right? Supposed
Yeah.
to be played Sunday because of weather, moved to Monday, and the mayor was the one who did it. And now the mayor, I think it was mayor or governor. I think it's mayor. So then the mayor again came out because it's supposed to be bad weather today, and they were like, okay, we're just not going to move it or whatever. Again, we can't move it again.
Yeah.
But the mayor is making themselves known, Jake. And if Travis Kelce comes into town, the mayor's already been in the spotlight for NFL headlines.
Yeah.
They're going to keep talking, and they're going to do some little shot at Travis Kelce, and Travis Kelce's going to have another feud with another mayor on the East Coast.
I love him just working his way through mayors. That's awesome. I'm in on that story. If you have X's and O's things to talk about in the Chiefs-Dolphins game, go for it. I don't really like it. We kind of broke it down. Let's get into the storyline thing then, because I think that's interesting. AFC side, I hate to say it. I feel like this is very clearly, like we kind of talked about it last week. I didn't really see it, and now I do. I think it's very much like, how do we make people underestimate the Chiefs when they're clearly the best team? And we have the coldest game of all time. They are, if they make the Super Bowl and the games go tonight the way they look like they're going to, they win the coldest game they've ever had in Kansas City against a Dolphins team that put up 80 this year. They go to Buffalo. I assume that's 1 degree colder. That's my headcanon. Probably, they beat them, and then they go to Baltimore and beat them. And I'm assuming a game that's 40 below by that point. So I think that storyline of, oh, you thought these other teams were good, cool, is set. I think we've got a very clear run ahead of us for the Chiefs. I just think that's the story. Because at this point, it's like they're not established enough at this moment for Baltimore to beat and that to feel like dope. Or it's like if Bills win, do I root it for them against Baltimore?
I'm not. I don't know, but I think the NFL wants people to root for the Bills. I just don't think – I think people are out on the Bills. I don't think people want to cheer for Josh Allen, and people don't like Stephon Diggs for obvious reasons.
No, I figured it out. Because I was like, are we really going to go face run? Nah, we go heel run. They go to Buffalo, in Buffalo, beat Buffalo.
Yeah.
Texans beat Ravens. And they go to Arrowhead. And everyone wants CJ Stroud to win, and they lose. Barely. Yeah. And then we get a heel Chiefs. And all right, we go to the NFC side. This is tough without the Eagles game happening yet.
Right.
I think there's a clear storyline set up, and people are afraid to say it. Not me.
Okay, say it. Say it for everybody.
Dude, the Green Bay Packers just, hear me out. They just beat former coach, cost him a job.
Yep.
He's going to get canned. They then are going to face Ghosts of Christmas Past 49ers, who I'm going to hear for 100 million times how they didn't draft Rodgers and we could never beat them, and now Love beats them in his first go. We get that storyline, and then who do they play in the NFC Championship game? One more Ghost to exercise, baby. Well, they didn't win their division, Zach. Well, they didn't when they won in 2010 either, did they? Who they play in the NFC Championship game, dude? What number one trick at WWE? You want to guess what's going to happen? Watch the product from 10 years ago. That's what we're doing, dude. The Packers just got a new quarterback, and we're just doing the same thing. I 100% think storyline-wise, that's where we're going. And for Packers haters, I get it. You know, it's hard. It's hard to fight the truth, and that's a Packers-Chiefs Super Bowl that we never got with Rodgers, and we get with Love instead. Where I assume he makes his debut on a State Farm commercial, where everyone calls him Aaron and he's not Aaron. I think that's what we're gonna get, and then we get Chiefs-Packers, and I think Chiefs win. I'd like to say Packers win, but I don't think so. I think Chiefs still win. We're just villain of the month. This is the McFoley push. I've been saying for a while we're Dude Love, and I stand by it.
It makes too much sense. I hate how much sense it makes.
How come there's no stars, Zach? That's because the star's the past. We're just going to keep throwing up clips of Bart Starr,
Yeah.
Favre and Rodgers, and we're good to go, man. Doesn't it seem like the NFC was a little weak? Don't we need some star power, dude?
It will break my heart if Jordan Loves beats the 49ers, because all we know is that the 49ers run for 200 against the Packers every time in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And now Jordan Love will beat them with like 175 yards passing and be like, he did what Rodgers could never do. Like, go fuck yourself. It's what's going to happen.
100%.
I hate it.
100%. Or we get a Philly run. That feels like the only two ways we can go. And
we need to stop with, by the way, so people are saying, again, we don't know the result. The game hasn't started yet for Philly. People are saying if Philly loses, Sirianni's going to get canned.
No.
And like, why are they shaping this up for them to be the biggest underdogs of all time? Like, we saw what happened last time, and they go for a Super Bowl. Like,
yeah,
this is what we talked about last week. So truthfully, both of these teams are just super underdogs. Literally everyone's doubting them, and we're going to get a Super Bowl rematch, and we're going to be like, whoa, what a run.
It is crazy. How did we let them do this? I can't. And when it happens, you remember this show.
Yeah.
Because we came on and said, stop it. We saw the previews. Don't do it.
Just go back to the beginning of the season when we're like, it's got to be a Kelsey rematch, right? And then middle of the season, maybe we said something else, and then now we're here like, oh my God, how did we get the wool pulled over our eyes here? This is stupid.
I just, one last point on the Packers thing, because this is where people are like, what, you don't actually think the leagues are booked? And I say, no, but think about it.
Right.
Because here's the thing. What if I told you that the Packers are on a surprising run and the teams that they would have to knock out to make it to a Super Bowl are the Cowboys, the Eagles, the 49ers, and a division rival? And you guess what year it is. Because is it 2007, 1998, or 1963? Because this is crazy that we don't even, why is it never Carolina? We've never got to beat Carolina. We've always got to beat the Eagles, the 49ers, the Cowboys, and sometimes the Eagles are the Giants. That's the only thing that changes.
Yeah, Giants gets thrown in every once in a while. Yeah. I don't know.
And we switch our division rival. But I like the idea that Detroit's like, it's our time. And we're like, they didn't read the script. 100%. Who's the main character, dude? God. Jordan Love shouldn't be this good. You're right. But we've got places to be. I don't know.
The whole NFL years felt like that. Like, this one thing happened. Why did it happen? Don't know. Did it really happen? Not really. But that's the narrative we're going with. Like, that's what it feels like the entire year, every week. Something happened like that.
I will say they are attempting to build another narrative, which is they're not even trying with the Ravens, which annoys me because I wish we would just build around Lamar and we get like who's better, Lamar or Mahomes, but I don't think we're doing that. I've heard them start to really hammer home, not that they haven't before, but like, how is Purdy going to match up against these other, like, he was Mr. Irrelevant and all these other quarterbacks were like top tier picks. I'm fine with that story. If we get Mahomes, Purdy, and I have to pretend that the only reason the 49ers are good is because of him and not the maybe best running back of the last 20 years. Okay. I can, smile and nod. I'll do that. Like, we could do the storyline and he'll win the trophy instead of McCaffrey.
It's such a Mickey Mouse bullshit story, though. But I mean, some people will eat it up, but we can't have that be the story for this.
No, they didn't want to give us what we actually wanted, which was Trubisky Garrett in the NFC, in the AFC Championship game. That would have been that's too ECW.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we know what would happen at that point.
Yeah,
but yeah, whatever. I don't know.
So there's your spoilers for the rest of the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, save it, bookmark it, share it with your friends, because we figured it out. We figured it out months ago, but we reminded ourselves.
And don't look at the predictions I gave to a FlurrySports article a little bit ago, because those were not correct.
They were not. They were fun. It would have been fun.
It would have been fun. But No, I know. That's the last game I wanted to talk about, Zach. We touched on it a little bit. My last question to you is how real are I don't even care. Never mind. I was going to ask you how real are the Lions. We've talked about that. They're real. They could
Yeah.
do it. Here's my actual question. Did that storyline live up to the hype? Did we get what we wanted out of the return of Stafford?
I think so. I would have really liked it if he had the ball, one final drive to win it or lose it. I think that's what I was really hoping for. We knew it would be a one-score game. We got vintage Stafford in that he just kept getting hurt and he just kept going back out there, like hand bleeding, eyes rolled back in head when his head smacks the turf. Doesn't matter. But something just didn't feel right. I don't know. We needed a little bit more hype. Like I said, one final drive to win it or lose it, I think would have been great.
I wish the Lions were trailing for most of the game.
Yeah, right.
Or a part of it, at least. Felt weird to have Stafford chasing.
Yeah, I mean, I was just trying to think, like, what has Detroit witnessed the most forever? And I feel like it's been Stafford trailing, though, and then he comes back in the fourth quarter and wins.
True. Well, and I kind of thought we were heading in a good spot where it's like Campbell getting really risky trying to run a game out, but it worked. So
yeah, that's the thing. There's a couple decisions in the game where I'm like, Dan Campbell's going to get slaughtered if this does not work.
But they worked.
It worked.
So,
yeah.
And now I think he's kind of out of that woods because now, unless they play the Buccaneers, even if they are the home team against Philly, I don't think will be favored to win that game, which is weird. But
it depends. It depends because Philly's so beat up. Like if Philly comes out and looks like Philly from last year tonight, then Detroit will be underdogs.
Also, can I tell you something that's funny because of how wrong I am? I was like, we're going to get a brother matchup in Phillies and Lions. Do you know who I was thinking of? I thought we were going to get AJ Brown versus Saint Brown.
Come on, Ron.
Yeah. I was like, wow, one of them's a little more holy than the other one, but
that's about it. That's the difference. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair.
No, Amon Ra does have a brother, but it's not
he
AJ.
Does.
So, there you go.
Might as well be. It'd be a better story if it was.
Yeah.
Sorry, you.
I know. All right, Zach, any other football thoughts before we end on things people should not forget from 2023?
Let's end it with our thoughts. Mine's not necessarily from 2023, but it's on the topic of the Lions. And I just want to remind people of Dan Campbell's food habits. I have three things here. Yeah. And again, one of the things we've heard a million times, but again, we just need to remind people how outrageous this is. And I'm going to start with his coffee order in the morning. And apparently it's every morning. He gets a venti Starbucks coffee, which is the huge one, with 2 shots of espresso. And then he gets another 820 milligrams of caffeine, which is a normal cup of coffee is 95. So he starts his day with essentially like 9 cups of coffee, which is already heart attack inducing. And when he talked about it, by the way, he also had a quote where it's like, because he also gets some tobacco, like long cut or whatever. And he's like, same thing with my tobacco and coffee. I want to taste it. I want it black. I don't want flavor. I want none of that. I want to taste it, which is great. But another one that you may not have heard, Jake, he eats 2 to 3 pints of gelato every single night. Every single night. He shares it with his little dogs, and his favorite flavor is salted caramel truffle, obviously. But he eats it while he watches film. So he starts his day with too much caffeine. Yeah. And then he eats 3 pints of fucking ice cream every night, which is insane. This guy is he's an animal, to be honest.
That shit, God, skinny people make me so mad. I don't know if that's like, it's like, I eat ice cream every day. Me too, motherfucker, but I don't get rewarded for it, Like, that's crazy. I know he works out like a demon, but that's insane.
Side note, by the way, he keeps his he keeps his house, as he calls it, meat locker cold, and he forces essentially his wife to sleep with sweatpants on because it's so cold. So just think of him just chowing down ice cream, and I feel like his body's shivering all night, which is why he burns all the calories off. That's got to be it.
It's got to be it. And also, like, the caffeine is just like
insane.
It's not doing anything for you at that point. It's like when my dad used to tell people he drank 3 pots a day, and they're like, "Aren't you buzzing?" And it's like, no, he's dead inside.
Yeah.
It doesn't do anything for him. He's addicted. Like, he just has to have that amount now, or he twitches. And can you imagine Dan Campbell more twitchy?
He would be so cranky without caffeine. Just an ordinary Dan Campbell would be fun to experience.
Yeah. Is he even ever ornery, or is he just furious? Like, he seems like one where it's just like straight anger.
I feel he's like toddler temper tantrum where he doesn't want to talk to anybody. I feel like he'd be very quiet.
Yeah.
And pouty.
100%. Or like, he's the football coach. He's like, "Oh, that's what you got for me today?" Like, he's like disappointed. But
Dan, what do you want to do at practice today? Oh, I don't care, man. Do whatever you want. I don't care. Dan, something wrong? No. I mean, why are you asking me now? Like, you should have asked me before. Yeah. Oh, now you care. Now you care. You didn't care when I wanted my coffee this morning. Like, there it is. Okay.
One special team guy. 100%. One special teams guy phones it in. He goes, "We're all walking today, huh? Huh? Yeah, no one's jogging, huh? Well, we're all jogging now." And then as everyone takes laps, someone brings him coffee.
He would also be sobbing because that's also his thing.
Yeah, 100%.
I guess we want to lose, man. I guess we don't fucking care.
I guess I'm the only one who cares, huh?
Yeah.
It's just me.
Goddamn much.
It's just me and Balls.
The
only two. Me and Jared.
Always. He never blames Goff. Goff, you don't got to run. You're fine.
Okay. No. Penne goes without saying. You stay there. I can't tell you what to do.
And Skipper. He loves Skipper.
He loves Skipper. Zach, I've got 3 things.
I got one last thing here. One last thing. So Dan Campbell, in case you didn't know, Jake, he loves to bake. He loves baking, which kind of surprising, kind of not. So apparently he went through 20 different oatmeal chocolate chip cookie recipes before he found the right one. He just kept making them furiously over and over. He's been searching for the perfect flour tortilla recipe. He's adamant on using lard and not shortening. And then apparently he likes to make brownies. But if the pan of brownies he makes is not perfect, he'll throw it away and make another one.
That's the least surprising thing I've ever heard. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Nope. Wrong. In the trash.
Yeah. I get 3 a.m. just chowing down on ice cream, just trying to make brownies because it's Panay's birthday tomorrow. He's like, "I can't get it fucking right, man."
God, he is Ted Lasso. That's crazy.
Yeah. That is. Oh my God. Yeah. With the shortcake.
Absolutely. You know who he is. He's Roy Kent. He's already had a Ted in his life. So now Roy's taking up baking, but he can't get it right. So he's angrily throwing it out. You like baking too much when you're like, "I need to get the perfect tortilla recipe." Go shopping, dude. I've been meaning to say this to you for years, Zach. No one needs to know how to bake bread. I don't know if this is controversial, but it's there, dude. Yeah. And it's got wonder in the title. They've already sliced it for me.
That's true. Soft. That and Quick Trip bread. $1. Great.
Yeah, 100%. Sourdough's alive and we're messing with it? Why? Just go buy it, dude. They already killed it for me. It's like I don't need to cook a lobster. I don't know. Bread's always been crazy to me that people are like, "I need to make bread." That's the last thing I need to make.
It is too many. This is coming from a household that just made sourdough bread.
Yeah, 100%. You like it. This is the tag. I'm suddenly on offense. Yeah,
for sure. But truthfully, it's a 50-50 if it's better.
Yeah,
it's not.
Sure.
It's not cheaper.
No,
way more time consuming. It's messy. It's for sure. It's not like it's a habit. It's usually, and I don't think I do it, but for the people who get into like the artisan bread shit, It's a hobby that you have that you can tell people that you do. That's it.
And your bread will be fine. It'll be absolutely fine.
Well, you'll bring it to people, by the way. It's going to be a little too chewy, but they're not going to tell you about it. I just hope you know.
Absolutely. Because guess what, bakers? You've never brought anyone your shittiest piece of bread, have you?
No.
Like, I know
true.
every loaf that went well, there's 4 that did.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah,
sure.
I don't bake a lot, but when I make fudge, it was first try. And you'll say, not bad fudge. 100% guaranteed. I couldn't screw it up if I wanted to.
Yeah, that's true. You're completely right about that.
Yeah, tortillas. That's back to that. Dan Campbell, tortillas. That's where we're gonna. They've perfected it
for sure. Yeah, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them everywhere.
We have a lot of underpaid Mexican workers already doing that, Dan. You don't need to do that. You know,
not in Detroit.
That's famously, they've never made it there. Nope, not a lot of migrant workers there. Nope. No, dude. Well, maybe he needs a tortilla. I don't know what the Mexican food situation is in Detroit.
I don't know.
Maybe he needs one. But Dan, go to Whole Foods.
Yeah. Anyway, find a Quick Trip.
They got him. You can get a pack of 60 at Aldi.
That's true. That is. You can get delivered, by the way. They probably have them at Starbucks where you go. Anyway.
Not 100%. It's so funny. I love that he's so into baking. And another check mark for you, why you like him so much. So another win for Dan Campbell, dude.
He's like Dan Campbell for as alpha male as he is, and it's not a facade. It's very true. He's also very just like, he likes to bake. He really likes baking. He loves to go to Starbucks every day. There's little things where it's like, it's endearing.
Well, I hope I'm so wrong on this. Never has there been more outwardly emotional male who probably thinks it's the worst thing you could do to cry. Like, just because he cries, he's like, it's my worst trait. If I could rip my eyes out, I'd never cry again. He's got that vibe. I hope he's a beacon of positive mental health and masculinity. Who knows?
Who knows?
But, you know,
who knows?
I by the way, let's get the man a cooking show. That's what I need.
Off-season cooking. Just have it on local Detroit TV. That would be incredible.
Dan, this is your invite. You and Dan baking bread?
Oh my God. Let's make that's the one thing I feel like if someone asked him to do that, you'd be so excited. Like,
you should reach out, be the first. Steal that idea. By the way, if he says no, we're going to do it with Bloody Dan instead, but he's going to pretend to be Dan Campbell. Study out.
That's right. We won't let him know. We'll give him a working sheet about facts about Dan Campbell, and he'll develop the character himself. It'll be great.
One of my favorite clips from the Daily Show when he was Jon Stewart was supposed to interview Al Sharpton. Al Sharpton didn't show up, so they had Stephen Colbert answer as if he was Al Sharpton.
Yeah.
That's what we should do with Dan.
We 100% should. Let's end the show on your 3 things from 2023.
This is how you know it's a good top 3. My honorable mention, Zach. The NHL bans and then unbans all stick tape and logos and otherwise affiliated things within a month of each other this offseason.
That was insane. I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, absolutely. In the wake of last year telling everyone that they had to be inclusive and that gay rights mattered, everyone in the NHL, not everyone, some people being like, no. And they're like, you're right. No one can do anything. And then people going, what about breast cancer? And they're like, shit, it's back.
Yeah.
So that was a flip. That's just an honorable mention. So that's where we're going. But that is a story people should for sure look up.
Yes. Yeah. Incredible story.
All right. Number 2, Zach. Draymond Green stomps a guy in the chest and is seemingly suspended on site.
Yeah. Quite the year for Draymond, actually. He snuck another one in at the end.
Absolutely. That is my favorite because the whole hubbubaloo of people being like, Silver was there. Like, it's like, that was the funniest part of that. It's like, what are we doing? It's such an immediate punishment.
I was going to say, did he punch Jordan Poole in 2023 as well? That had to be 2022, right?
It was 2022 because it was
preseason
last October. Yeah, 2 Octobers ago. So
What a year though for Draymond. He was on one. Someone should ask him if he's okay.
I don't know. But that one, we had to see another, like, did he do it on purpose? And everyone being like, oh, he wouldn't have been punished if Silver wasn't there. What do you mean? And it's like, I think he would have been.
Yeah, it's the guy's fault for laying on the ground.
Yeah.
That's still my stance.
That / the beam. No one should forget the beam with the Kings.
That's right. Oh,
by the way, that still creeps me out.
I don't like it. It's dumb.
Okay, good. We're on the same page. Yeah, I'm out on it. It's a little offsetting to me. I don't know.
It's not cool. It's lame and it's bad and we're calling in something. I don't know. I don't like it. Turn it off.
100%. The aliens got here and were like, we saw a giant purple beam, and we're like, fucking Sacramento.
Yeah, the motherfucking Kings. They get good for one season.
Yeah, light that beam. Also, terrible chant. Terrible chant. So it's not cool when it goes up. Yeah, I'm with you on that. Number 2, Zach. The combination of the Oakland Athletics hold a reverse boycott and filled the stands, and everyone waits 6 innings and then starts chanting, sell the team. A beautiful, majestic moment capped off by, in the middle of the game, them announcing that the stadium had been approved in Las Vegas, and then the commissioner of baseball coming out afterwards and saying, happy to see that the people of Oakland could get the attendance of an average day for most of our ball clubs.
So, God, what a slap in the face.
So like this big heroic moment, shit on, just like twice. The MLB commissioner response is crazy. People kind of skipped over that. That was nuts. I'm like, oh, isn't that nice? They went to a baseball game. Like, it's like, oh, come on, man.
It's a movie. It's just it's an insane situation.
Yeah. And that was in like this big Oakland's year in general. Like, they win 7 games in a row. They might be the worst team ever. They then give up a perfect game to a guy who's no longer in baseball because he was hitting people and drinking alcohol. It's a wild time. They're in a lot of movies from this year, and one of them's that one. Like, it's a weird time, but it's just one no one is talking about anymore because it's like done. Now we have to watch them play ball in Oakland for another year for no reason. Yeah.
Awkward.
So, and we get to shit on them more when they don't go to the game.
Right. Of course. What a bad fan base. They don't deserve a team.
Yeah, we're definitely not giving them another one. That's crazy. Number 1, with a bullet. Do you have any idea what it is, Zach? The number 1 story from 2023 people are not talking about enough.
I honestly have no idea.
All right, we talked about it on the show, and it concerns college basketball.
College basketball? I mean, so Boeheim didn't kill a guy this year.
Not this year, but an equally suspecting coach, Zach. That's right. No justice yet for our boy Huggins. We go to West Virginia.
No one is talking about that.
No one's talking about it. He resigned and then said, no, I didn't. The best story all year. I had that moment this week where I was like, motherfucker, did that ever get resolved?
I mean,
they're playing basketball now and he's not coaching.
He's the head coach, though. He didn't sign that himself. He is the head coach.
I only know one king. The king in the north. His coach is Huggins. It is crazy. For a reminder of that story, this is a story where he fired a lawyer, said, I didn't do that. My lawyer did. And then when that didn't work, he also said, no. It wasn't my email. It was my wife's email.
Checks out to me. Send it to his email. And if they fired him and took away his email address from the school, that's on you. That's on you.
After also saying in person that he was done. Just awesome. You can't prove it was me. I mean, nope. I'm back. I said one homophobic thing.
I was going to say, Huggins has said a lot of things that just got taken out of context. So, I mean, he is fine. He's the coach. See you in March, Huggy. Can't wait to see it.
In March, absolutely. Well, and also the part really nobody remembers, if you've got the stomach for it, go look up what got him canned. Go look up that tape with those slurs, because that is nuts. Because the fact that someone did that,
that didn't get him canned.
Oh, you're right. It was the DUI. Yeah. Go look up what didn't get him fired. It was the alcohol. I had it flipped in my head. I was like, what should have gotten fired? No, backwards. That one, they were like, gold star, here's a raise.
Mm-hmm.
West
and
Virginia
by the way,
coach.
I don't think he did get fired. I think that's the issue. I think he has he resigned because in his contract he couldn't get another DUI, which
absolutely,
to be honest, not in his control. He's not the one who issues the DUIs.
He was not fired. But he was not. I don't think it was voluntary.
I think it's a breach of contract or something.
Absolutely. So correct. But his contract was terminated. He did. Well, did he? I don't know. He resigned.
Exactly.
He did resign. Who knows
what happened?
It's the best story from this year. There's no doubt. And people aren't talking about it.
Nope. Let's get somebody in Morgantown. We need to get to the bottom of this. We need to interview some people. We need to talk to Huggins himself. And let's verify that it's him. And then we can hear from the man himself. Censor him if we have to. But I'd like some answers because I'd like to see him back on the sideline.
Well, one more funny thing from the people. You know what made me think of this news story this week? I'm watching this thing on Netflix called Pepsi, Where's My Jet?
Okay. I've seen it on there. Yeah.
Yeah. It's about for folks who don't know, it is about the Pepsi Points scandal from the 90s where they had this catalog, and in an advertisement, they said there was a jet for 7 million points. And one guy was like, bet, give me a jet. And I'm in the middle of watching that right now. And it made me think of, God, why don't people have contracts? Huggins. Like, I was like, the lawyers in that must have felt like the lawyers at West Virginia of like, what is he? No. Like, it's just going insane of like, I will not negotiate with you. This is crazy.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's been oddly quiet. They had to pay him money. I don't know. We need to get to the bottom of it.
Pay him money, or it was just ridiculous. I don't know. It was all hinging on my lawyer didn't speak for me, says my new
fired
lawyer.
The lawyer. That's right.
Yeah, 100%. It's all nuts, but that was the story where I was like, yeah, it's not even resolved. I don't know what happened with it.
No. I'll look up some stuff. We'll get to the bottom. We'll report about it next week. That'll be the biggest story.
The coaching scandal everyone was talking about this week. Huggins.
That's right. Yeah. Should be. Maybe not. Maybe it's not what they are talking about, but next week they will.
Huggins to Seattle.